Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast, live from the Fox Studios in New Orleans. Sean.
What's up?
What's up, dude? We're live right here on YouTube for the first time ever. This is a pretty sweet setup. We decided to try something new right after the Saints game against the Rams. And we did not see the results the Saints wanted to see on the field against the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium, with the Saints losing 30-22. Sean, after you finish taking a sip of your drink, what are your first thoughts from tonight's game?
Well, good to be with you guys. Come on in, come vent, come voice your frustrations, leave some questions, comments, whatever you want to talk about this disaster of a performance on Thursday night in LA. All right, so what do I think about what we just witnessed tonight? What do I think about what we just saw tonight? Well, to me, those were two teams with two identical records going into that game that were two completely different teams. They may have had two of the same records, but they were two completely different teams. One team looks like a team that's peaking at the right time, that plays in a tough division, had some hardships early, figured it out, and is now playing their best football at the right time. Another team looks like a team that played in the worst division in football, had one of the softest schedules in football, and when they play a team that's comparable to them skill-wise, or you're not clearly better than, they struggle, and their season has done this. Not hard to figure out which team is which in that regard, the Rams and the Saints. The Saints, we talked about this yesterday in our pod, and the short week's got me thrown off. We talked about this yesterday in our pod.
We did.
There was a chance to show you can deal with success and fail. Chance to change the narrative on your season. Change get out of the mediocre, inconsistent stalemate you had been in, fail once again. Had a chance to maybe win some of the fan base back. Oh, you think that's happening now? You gave all the haters you have more ammunition that just want to see this burn to the ground and just start over with a new look to the organization. You had an opportunity, and you blew it against a team that, look, we all thought this was going to be a tough game. I predicted a loss, to be honest with you. I still sit here frustrated because they played awful. They just didn't play well. They don't let the final score fool you, and I know you're not fooled by the final score. But, that was just a terrible showing with so much on the line against a team that on the surface was comparable to you. And they wiped the floor with you. They were so much better than you. And they deserved that win. And you, once again, deserved that loss. They didn't lead at any point in this game. Again, how many times have we said that in losses where they didn't lead at any point in the game? Just an ugly, ugly loss heading into the Christmas weekend when you had such an opportunity. I'm not sure it would have felt better or worse had it been like a 31-28 game and they were battling to the last second and, they have a walk-off field goal by the Rams. Maybe I feel a little bit better, but that was just such a disaster of a showing. And you had just maybe started to get some people to say, you know what, maybe they've figured it out. Sort of like the Rams have done, clearly, because that team is going to go on and be a terror in the postseason because I think they're making it. And the Saints, on the other hand, once again, they look like a team that's hoping for help. And good luck with that, because usually when you hope for help in this league, you don't get it. So, congrats to the Rams. As for the Saints, I'm sure you all agree. What a disappointment. Now you're 7-8. And now you got to win. Now it's must win from here on out. You're not eliminated, obviously, but now you got to win from here on out.
And, silver lining, at least this game happened on this Thursday, so it doesn't kind of ruin anybody's Christmas holiday. And so we still have a few days to kind of get this off your back a little bit before you head into Christmas and Christmas Eve, of course. But a big reason why this game turned out the way it did, some mental errors, not just from the players' perspective, but from the coaching as well, most notably, and I know you're going to get to this too, but the decision to go for it on fourth down early in the game after missing it on fourth down a couple drives before that, what went into the decisions made by this coaching staff here in New Orleans?
Yeah. First off, let's just sequence it out, if you will.
Sure, yeah.
First drive of the game, good drive offensively. I mean, really good drive offensively. Got all the way down. I think he got all the way down to like maybe the 31-yard line, something like that.
Right.
Third down. Carr got sacked. It was a bad sack to take. So now you're at the 37-yard line. And it would have been, I don't know, it was too far to go for it at that point. But he bypassed a field goal right there.
Right.
A bypassed a 54, 55-yard field goal. Is that right? He was at the 37-yard line? I got to double-check that because it felt like that was definitely a field goal. Right? He bypassed the chance. He punted right there.
Yeah.
And next time he had the fourth down on that side of the field, he went for it. I didn't necessarily have a terrible feeling with that one. I understood you wanted to be aggressive in that situation, but it didn't work out. Carr got sacked. He had no chance on that play. That I didn't necessarily have a bad feeling about going forward on fourth down at that point. But the final one before halftime changed the game because let's just think about it. It's 10-7. You had just scored on that deep ball to Rashid Shaheed. You forced a punt. So you got the ball. You're able to move the ball downfield, and you had just had it was about the 1 minute mark of the second quarter. 3rd and 5. They throw the little option route to Chris Olave. He drops it. Look, the ball was a little hot in terms of how hard he threw it.
Right.
But NFL receiver, got to make that catch, first round pick. Big game, big situation, need a big play, got to make it. He didn't. So it's 4th and 5 at that point. Less than a minute, around a minute. You pin them back at the 5-yard line. Rams are probably running that clock out. Or they may try to go downfield, but it's a lot farther. I know they already had the 95-yard drive, but it's a lot harder with 1 minute left at your own like 8 or 9 as opposed to at the 50.
Right.
But instead they go for it. Carr missed Juwan Johnson on that sail route, and then they turn and score. So it's 17-7. You went for it knowing the Rams would get the ball back to start second half. That's my biggest problem with it. If you knew you were going to get the ball back in the second half, maybe I feel a little bit different. But you knew they were going to get the ball back, and you had all the momentum, and you gave it right back to them. They scored, and it went from 10-7 to 17-7 to 27 to 23-7, then to 37. It was a run of, 20 straight points right there.
Yeah.
Game over. 30-7, game over. And the Saints dug themselves out the hole, but they were never coming back to win that game. No. We know that. We all know that.
The second Demarcus Robinson caught as many passes as he did in the first half.
I was like, yes, to me, like that the first one is aggressive. The second one is reckless. First one is, I don't mind the calculated risk. The second one is just dumb. Like, that's just dumb. That is just a dumb play, a dumb decision. And it just that situation in the game right there, you've got the momentum. If you go into halftime down 10-7, it's totally different feel.
Yeah,
but you went down 17-7, your opponent just scored, and they got the ball back. It's just, to me, that was a turning point in the game. And to me, that was one of the things that cost them this game. Wasn't the only thing. We're going to get to everything else. But that was one of the major decisions that cost the Saints this game.
Just wanted to shout out the over 20 viewers we got in the chat right now, and they're actively having a nice discussion in the chat section there on YouTube.
What you got for me?
Here's a little tidbit for you.
Okay.
It's over. The season is over, and Dennis Allen era in New Orleans is over.
Okay. Well, look, I'll say this: you can't look at that the way that game played out. Well, what was at stake, and knowing what's ahead of you, and think, you know what? We're good right now. Yeah. I mean, to me, the mandate now is as strong as ever. I know I said if he got to 8 wins, he might be able to come back and maybe just kind of sacrifice his staff a little bit. I don't know. I think it's it's the best thing for everyone involved to get into the postseason if you're on that coaching staff right now, because honestly, I'm sure a lot of fans feel that right now.
Yeah.
And that's your customer base. And if they miss the postseason and it looks like this again next couple of weeks, I don't see how you could ignore making major changes. It may not necessarily be the head coach, but it could be a lot of coaches. It's already going to be a lot on the roster because we're going to get into what the other big thing tonight, which was the defense, which, I mean, my God, did they look like they aged overnight. That defense looked fantastic last week. They look like they aged overnight. And we talked about
it yesterday because I mentioned that they looked quick against this Giants team that they beat last week, and then all of a sudden the clock struck 12 and they turned back into a pumpkin.
They look tired. They look like a veteran team on their last leg, or an old team trying to recover in time on a short week on a West Coast trip. They look like an old team, a step slow. The tackling was absolutely abysmal tonight.
Terrible.
Absolutely abysmal. One of the worst I've ever seen. It wasn't that the Rams scored, is that it was so easy to score. Pass rush, non-existent. After 7 sacks a week ago, pass rush, absolutely non-existent. To me, a big theme of this game, whether you look at offense or defense, the line of scrimmage, striking difference between both organizations. One team couldn't get a pass rush. The other team could get a pass rush. One team protected well. The other team did not protect well. It's not hard to figure out what team was which. And the Saints have invested a ton of resources along the line of scrimmage. That is maddening, and that is disheartening to see that fall apart up front when you've invested so much. And that was, I mean, that wasn't hard to figure out. That was not hard to figure out how smooth everything appeared and calm everything appeared for Stafford, and how jittery things seemed to appear, and just like it was almost like the pace was too fast for Carr.
Yeah.
It was alarming, and it was, to me, that was a major theme in this game.
I agree, and so talking about the defense, let's move back to the offensive side of the ball, because we haven't really talked about, and we talked a little bit off air about how no matter what was going to happen, Derek Carr was going to face a brunt of the criticism. How did you see Derek Carr's performance today, Sean?
Well, first off, I didn't like the first sack he took on that third down. I didn't think he had much of a chance on the fourth down sack. The interception was terrible. You just didn't see the defender there. I don't know how he didn't see him. But I think the thing that stood out to me was he wasn't as good as Stafford.
Yeah.
Did you think he played bad? I thought he was.
I thought he played like exactly how they paid him, which is middle of the road.
I thought he was right, exactly. They couldn't finish drives. His stats are probably going to look pretty good. I think he threw for over 300 and 3 touchdowns.
A lot of that was garbage time, though.
I don't think he was. It wasn't like he threw 4 picks, but you could look at that game and see, okay, one quarterback clearly outplayed the other, and Stafford clearly outplayed Derek Carr.
Definitely.
But he wasn't. If I was thinking of the reason they lost that game, I wouldn't put him at the top of the list of why they lost that game. He's going to get all the blame for it, because that's just what happens when you play quarterback on a frustrating team. But he just wasn't as good as Matt Stafford today.
No, not at all. And the conversation's still going here. And
what we got?
Let's see. Why do you guys even bother breaking this mess down? Just wrap it up for the season and sack everybody.
That's what we do. Come on. It's what we do. It's what we love to do. We love breaking this stuff down. Sometimes it's happy. Sometimes it's sad. Sometimes it's frustrating.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it
for y'all.
Exactly.
We do it for y'all. Come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in and vent.
Bad football, good football, it's still football.
It's good sports talk, man.
Exactly.
It's good sports talk, and there's a lot to talk about with this team.
So, I mean, I don't. What, like, other than Carr, what did you make of this offense? Just how do you think they performed, I guess, from a blocking perspective? I mean,
we were bad blocking. They weren't great blocking. They struggled early on with Aaron Donald. It felt like they made an adjustment with Aaron Donald a little bit later in the game.
Yeah.
They couldn't run the ball. Non-existent running game, which is disheartening, how they still can't get the running game going. Now, look, they keyed on Alvin Kamara, Raheem Morris, their DC. That was pretty obvious. Taysom Hill only had 2 carries, but it felt like they had a plan for him as well. He didn't get nearly as many snaps today, at least at quarterback. I know he got some snaps at, F tight end, whatever it is. But offensively, felt like they moved the ball. The play action game was really working. Play action was really. I'm not sure Carr threw an incompletion off play action.
Well, isn't Carr a play action quarterback?
He is a play action quarterback. So there were some things that they did fairly well offensively, but the inconsistent run game is frustrating because they should be better at running the football. Especially at one point, that line was built for running the football, and it had just gone away. It's not what it once was. So, and if they were a little bit better running the football, I think the whole operation becomes that much better. So, offensively, you can look at their offense, and you can look at the Saints' offense. That offense was creative. That offense had the Saints look like on roller skates half the time. The defense, that offense had. They kept saying the run game is married to the passing game. When you look at the Saints, it just didn't look like it had that same sort of just flow and cohesion.
Yep, disjointed,
a little disjointed. I've used that word a lot to describe this offense. And look, they battled back the big play to
A.T. Perry.
A.T. Perry. Who scored the second? Was it Juwan that scored the second touchdown?
Yes.
Juwan scored the second touchdown. Olave got the
2-point conversion.
2-point conversion. And Shaheed had the great catch early in the game on the Yankee concept.
Best deep throw I've seen Carr throw all season. He just found the open space and threw it.
He read that middle safety. Middle safety jumped Olave. He threw it over the top. And Olave put his arm up right when he saw Carr throw it because he knew it was wide open. Yep. I thought that was the start of a momentum shift.
But we were wrong.
But they went for it on fourth down for no reason. Oh, my goodness. So 7-8 they are right now. So just a tough way to go out on Thursday night. But hey, like you said, at least it won't ruin your Christmas weekend because you got a couple days to absorb this and open some presents on Christmas morning. Not have to worry about a Saints loss.
Absolutely. This is the one piece of coal that you're going to receive for Christmas. But any final thoughts as we head into the Christmas holiday show?
Yeah, I think, look, you're talking about a team that is on their last leg. You're talking about a team that when they had to face quarterbacks like Lawrence, Stafford, C.J. Stroud, Jared Goff, they looked one way. And then when they faced guys like Tyson Bagent and Tommy DeVito and Bryce Young, they looked another way. So I think you're seeing this team's record is just versus, but when they play, teams that are clearly better, you see where they stand. So we'll see what happens these final 2 weeks. I guess they still have a chance. They could still win out and win the division. Can they still win the division? Yeah, I guess they could. Could they? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's...
But they need help.
Yeah, I think what is it, like a 24% chance for them to make the playoffs like at this juncture?
Yeah, they need help. They're not going to get it. But they'll try. Next week in Tampa will be interesting. They probably will win. Watch. And then something crazy will happen. And then we'll see how the season ends out. But look, for all those that wanted change, the more they lose, the more I don't see how you could ignore that with this team going into this season, with this schedule in this division. 7-8 after 15 games is just so disappointing, big picture. It's frustrating. So I'm not sure where they go from here, but I do know this. They got to win out to even have a chance.
That's right. And
we got any other comments?
So we got a couple. Most of them are still saying the same things, just bashing the coaching staff and Derek Carr.
Just read a few out.
I got you.
They say.
Major problems on this team: Dennis Allen, Pete Carmichael on the offensive line. Someone put emojis of a log and an axe, meaning I guess chopping block.
Okay.
Let's see.
Chopping wood. I get it. Yeah, chopping wood. Okay.
I guess so. On a positive note, we scored 2 touchdowns. That is a positive.
Scored 3.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm 3. Hey, and another positive note, did
you stop watching the game?
Red zone beast right now, by the way. They are red zone beasts.
Yeah, they are. For this total turn, the table turned from the beginning of the season.
They were pretty good on third down, too, tonight, too. They was terrible on fourth down.
Let's see. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is playing this weekend or not, but the Bucs need to lose to the Jags.
That's it. That's it. Bucs need to lose to the Jags.
Great
see what happens with Atlanta. But if Trevor Lawrence isn't playing, which would say a lot because that dude's battled through a lot this year. Again, you got to count on other teams. This is why you don't count on other teams. Yep. The Saints have had more than enough opportunity to seize control of this season, and they've let it slip through their fingers every single time.
No, when you go back and you look at this season, that is going to be the story of it.
It's
It's right through the fingers. Jimmy Graham, 0 targets, someone says.
Yeah, and they didn't have a whole lot of snaps inside the red zone, but he wasn't in it on that 2-point conversion. He wasn't in. They scored on 2-point conversion. I'm not sure how many snaps they actually had inside the 20. It was a weird flow to the offense because all their plays were big plays. So, like, the deep touchdown to Shaheed, the deep touchdown to A.T. Perry. And the other one, I think, came inside the red zone, but they didn't get a whole lot of snaps inside the red zone. I'm sure he was a part of the game plan, but in this situation, it's the one thing I'm not necessarily going to put on them because it feels like he is strictly a red zone guy or a short yardage guy. Now, I will say this. Would have been nice to have him on one of those 4th downs attempts, a 4th and medium like that, a big body like that, getting over the middle, or like maybe a little hook to box a guy out or an out route.
He can still gain 5 yards, man.
That would have been nice. So, you know what? I'm not going to give him a pass. So, yeah, no, I agree. He should have had a few more snaps than that.
And then we got one last question here. It says, Sean, Carmichael can't make it another year, right? Who's the next offensive coordinator?
I've said this many a times. Who is the next Shanahan/McVay up-and-coming assistant? Mm-hmm. I want someone from that tree, whoever.
You and 31 other teams?
I want the guy that, is maybe an up-and-coming assistant that may not call the plays. Like, who is the offensive coordinator for the Rams? I'm not sure who it is. Who is the offensive coordinator technically for the 49ers? Whoever the next up-and-coming guy is, because they all go up. Like, look at Mike McDaniel right now with the Dolphins. Now, he's the head coach. And who knows, maybe that's who they'll be looking for at some point anyway, a new head coach. But new offensive coordinator, if you're going to go that route, it's got to be from the Shanahan/McVay tree, whoever that is. I mean, look at the guy with the Texans. He's the Shanahan guy.
Slowick.
So to me, that's where you got to go. So do your research now. Start Googling 49ers coaching staff, Dolphins coaching staff, and Rams coaching staff, and look at the highest-ranked offensive guy with some experience. That's the guy, I think, if they go that route offensive coordinator-wise, that's who you got to bring in. You've got to bring in that style of offense to the Saints.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. And so obviously we're doing this tonight, so there will be no Friday pod. And then also we're going to take the holiday off and come back next week to preview the game against the Buccaneers. So I think everybody just enjoy your holiday. Yeah. Don't let this get you down. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays to those who don't celebrate Christmas. And Sean, thank you, and Merry Christmas to you as well.
Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you all for supporting this podcast, and we'll be back in a few days to talk about Saints, Bucks, and hopefully bringing in a new year with a win. I guess we'll figure that out when we get to it. So have a great night.
For Sean Fazan, I'm Vasilios. We'll catch you guys next time.